Good evening. Welcome to another round of ALTTPR main tournament group stage. We actually have game 2 today of Kappa facing off against Furaime. Kappa has a 1-0 lead and is hoping certainly to sweep it 2-0 against his formidable opponent, Furaime. Furaime, of course, is looking to make it back and of course, chat alongside, but we would always appreciate a game 3, assuming Furaime wins. I am joined today here by Airshap. Airshap, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm good. Happy to be here for some more Zelda. It's been nonstop over the last few days, hasn't it?
That's right. Heck yeah, I'm excited. These guys are certainly very good. For those of you who didn't get a chance to watch game 1, it was actually very exciting. I would really like to be able to get them boots earlier this season. That would be one thing I'd really hope for.
Yeah, it was definitely a good chunk of time just hunting for those boots so they could get Hammer in the library. So it felt a little bottlenecked, but we'll see if this is a bit more open.
Oh, yeah. Well, so right. So, and open in terms of after we get past our standard opening, right?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a rainy day in Hyrule, and you know what that means. Got to save Zelda.
That's right. For some reason, she's always in distress when it's raining outside. So, we just have to hope that it's not raining anymore. Alright, so we will get our runners synced up here in just a few moments. It looks like, at least first item out the door, Kappa manages to kind of sneak by with 20 rupees. Was that a vanilla green pendant I saw on his side?
Yeah, I think that's right. And I saw Hera was a crystal as well. I didn't catch Desert.
Okay, I know it was a crystal, but I did not see if it was anything of like any other color. Yes, but I guess we will find out shortly.
Yeah, that green pendant Eastern is always a little awkward to see since you can often do it early as we get a sword start here.
Yeah, heck this is probably one of the best, permanent weapon starts, in my opinion, at least for standard. You get a permanent weapon. Everyone, familiar with this game is very used to and would really prefer a sword.
Yeah, it doesn't open up any routing in the way that, a bow or a hammer or Canis Maria or those sorts of things do, but for the metagame of trying to find a bomb to open up the back of Escape, the sword is definitely top tier.
Oh yeah, and one of the kind of like worst, I guess like some sense of like go mode is when you're in like sword go mode, either one sword or two swords. It's just like, well, how much of the dungeons do you end up clearing? Like, I don't know, because you're still just looking for that sword. But hopefully this won't is going to be pose much of a problem for our runners today. Already, we actually see some really nice blue guard strats in this first room with that sword. Those of you who run either the non-randomizer versions, so just like NMG, no major glitches, very well practiced for both these runners.
Yeah, I think we'll see a pretty quick escape today. I was looking at that like 6-minute target or so, depending on whether we get our bomb drop or not.
Yeah, so I don't think anything is really oh, we do see some arrows. But yeah, as you're saying, so 6 minutes is actually a pretty good benchmark, just because that's about how much time we're actually going to need. Coincidentally enough, it's also about the same amount of time you're going to actually aim for NMG categories as well. It just happens to be that in this case, we, in the process of us trying to open up some more chests, maybe farming some more enemies, that actually is about the same amount of time as the text boxes that the randomizer takes away. Actually, so did see a couple of goodies thanks to B-Links, actually, our tracker behind the scenes today, making sure that everybody here is keeping honest. We see bombos actually being found in Escape, also pretty good with the fact that we actually do have a sword immediately, so we actually have the option of using it, as well as a bottle. So this should be pretty convenient once we make our way over to Kakariko.
Yeah, I'm always so happy to see that bottle early. And Bombos too. Bombos is the one medallion that, could potentially be useful in Ice Palace outside of opening a dungeon up. So Good find.
Oh yeah, and certainly there are some runners who more or less go for the rule of fire. If you have bombos and you need fire rod, go to Ice Palace.
That's what I do for sure.
And of course, actually, this bee, it doesn't actually look like it's a special bee. But you know, it actually could still pose as a pretty good weapon.
I mean, I would push back on like all bees are special bees.
Well, unfortunately, you know, the bottle vendor is somewhat discriminatory because he only accepts just the good bees in payment in order to buy it off of you. Unfortunately.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, if you have a super bee, you can let it loose near the bottle vendor in Kakariko and get a handful of red rupees. It's really helpful.
Yeah, and in fact, it's basically like a free item, right? If you get it from the bottle vendor, because he charges you 100 rupees, right, for whatever thing that he has. But he gives you 100 rupees if you have a bee to give to him.
It's not how I would run my business, but who am I to say, really?
Maybe Hyrule has different business models, right? Alright, looks like Furaime is actually taking some more time in order to farm up some enemies.
Yeah, so that snake guard prize pack was just arrows and hearts. Ooh, master sword.
Yeah, wow, okay, so no sword problem. We're definitely not going to be in sword gun mode today. We are potentially going to still want that tempered sword. Makes life a whole heck of a lot easier.
Ooh.
Nice magic drop though on Furaime's side.
Yeah, this looks like a pack with bombs in it. You're saying on the wrap drops here, but the 8 bomb drop in this pack is pretty late in the pack, so they're gonna have to spend some time killing rats here. Hopefully they get to the end.
Yeah, and of course, unfortunately, Furaime, pretty good luck right in the last room. Yeah, so every single drop, of course, is going to be a 50-50 shot. Sometimes actually looks like Kappa is not going to have that much luck getting it, but we also do see on Furaime's side that there is nothing of real value lost because Kappa did not end up getting his drop. He is not going to feel really good about it, right? Because he certainly knows that there is a bomb pack drop in the prize pack, but he's not going to be able to get it.
Yeah, as long as there's not a glove back there, it's not a huge deal.
Yeah. And we did see Furaime pick up the map in the back, so we know that for sure that this item is going to be something. Not something great, but it is something. Maybe that's slightly better peace of mind for Kappa, because, you know, if you saw the map, you like, there were 3 items back there, you know, that I could have potentially missed. Alright, looks like Kappa's gonna be farming up a couple resources, checking out probably tier 2 tree pulls. Meanwhile, and going up to Lumberjack versus Furaime. Probably gonna skip this check for the time being, and make his way over to Lost Woods.
Yeah, a bit unusual. I've been seeing a lot of runners skip the Lumberjack check over the tournament here, so a bit of divergence already.
Yeah, and you know, there are kind of 2 schools of thought, right? So one school of thought is what Kappa's doing, right? Is you know, I want that knowledge as early as I possibly can get it, and then another school of thought is you know, I'm gonna go check Lumberjack when I have the boost because I can't actually get the prize until I get the boost anyway, and then, you know, if I have the boost, I can just run up there faster.
Right.
Furaime, actually using you know, that 8 bomb drop to his advantage, actually bombing the crow from afar in order to check his tier 1 tree pull.
You know, the nice thing about these tournament races is you see something new every single time.
Yeah, and certainly, you know, these guys are, you know, really great runners to be able to watch in order to learn stuff from. Alright, Furaime, of course, skipping Lumberjack. He's going to be the first one into Blind's Hut and the first real set of checks into Kakariko. So hopefully we're going to get something good here.
Yeah, these checks really set the tone for the rest of the race, I say, as he finds a bug net.
Hey, that bug net is very important. Hey, there's a pretty good cane. And a hammer! Ooh. Wow!
Well, we're already in better shape than game 1, aren't we?
Oh yeah, that's right. And a nice set of cash. Yeah, so Blind's is pretty loaded, actually. So this is gonna, you know, so with that bottle that they found in Escape, They're going to be able to check the bottle window, check the sick kid. And then at least maybe on Kappa's side, if he doesn't find more bombs, maybe he is willing to spend 50 rupees in order to buy some before he leaves.
Yeah, and that can of Samaria is low-key one of my favorite items to see. It just opens up better routing in a few of the tougher dungeons.
Yeah, not to mention it's also just a really nice magical item. Another thing that you can also use. Oh, yes! I'm sure Furaime and Kappa very shortly is going to be super happy to see those boots at actually less than the 10-minute mark. So in the last game, didn't get a chance to see, their boots were in the maiden cell of Pendant Thieves Town, which of course both runners ended up last locationing at 40 or 50 minutes or something. So certainly a much like a really fresh breath of air being able to see those boots so early this game.
Fresh of breath air for sure. Yeah, we're saved this race.
Gosh. Good thing they picked up that bottle, because Sick Kid, I don't know what he's doing with that sword, but holy cow, we are on Tempered Sword with boots under the 10-minute mark for both runners. They've got all the offensive power they could possibly want.
Yeah, there could always be an item hiding somewhere that draws the seed out, but just in terms of killing dudes fast, they're in great shape.
Yeah, actually, just in terms of items that they're potentially still looking for offense, so they have the hammer, they have Tempered Sword, they're probably gonna still want a bow at some point for the seed. But they also have the Cane of Samaria, maybe outside of a couple rods, we're looking at pretty dang good progression.
Yeah, the main thing still is our Dark World access, and whenever I see multiple swords up front, I get a little nervous about Ega, so we'll see what happens over the next few minutes.
You do bring up a good point. Aghanim actually is a very, very close in the logic. We do, of course, need that pesky light source, which is, of course, our lamp. Without that, Aghanim is not going to be in logic, and my guess is neither runner is going to choose to go to Aghanim in the dark.
Seeing a question in the chat about the rule set. So this is the hard item pool, which means we have found all of the swords that we're going to find in this seed. We're also not going to be finding any armor upgrades, silver arrows. Our heart count is going to be maxed out at 14. There's a glove, by the way.
Yeah, there is a glove. So that's piece 2 of our Dark World access. We just need that moon pearl so we can stay in our, Squall and Mario form, as opposed to the bunny forms that, that Dark World occurs.
I do like to see those bunny sprites, though, so hopefully we get an opportunity.
Yeah, I think Mario's bunny sprite and this one is Toad, I want to say, and then for Squall it is a Moogle. But they are both very cute, so...
Unconventional choice. I would have gone with Luigi, but I respect it.
Yeah, one of the great things about this community is that, I don't remember how many sprites there are, but there are like 300 some or something. I mean, there's like an absurd number, and really just, most of the sprites are all just done by the community. Okay. so we have our maximum shield that we found first, which is the fire shield. We're not going to get mirror, but yeah, we just found Dark World access at 12 minutes. Thankfully, they both have actually found a couple of heart pieces and containers as well, because no one really wants to go into Dark World this early on like 3 or 4 hearts. Dark World doesn't, care about how much health you have. It's going to be the same amount of danger, doing pretty much 2 hearts of damage to you, with every opportunity.
Yeah, we're looking at, the front of pod potentially is pretty risky. Thieves Town with the hammer is pretty appealing. Thankfully, that's one of the easier dungeons in the Dark World. So, yeah, I would expect to start seeing a bit of divergence with our runners now that the Dark World is opening up.
Yeah, and especially since they have the the glove and the hammer, that opens up a ton of Dark World entry portals, because most of them actually require the hammer. You still can't get Dark World access with the Titansmiths, but that really does open up just kind of like one portal. And it's now not always the most, I guess, convenient in order to get to different places in the Dark World for. Actually, more importantly, at least for Kappa, he is with that glove. He's going to be able to access the backup escape, which, given that he knows that there are 2 items back there, that he did end up getting a chance to get to earlier, like that definitely might be one of his short-term locations.
Yeah, I always try to get that out of the way as soon as possible. I wouldn't be surprised to see it. So that'll be just a few seconds for Kappa. As both of our racers do these fake flipper checks.
Yeah, slightly actually bit of. Oh wow!
Wow!
Did you just see what Furaime picked up? He picked up the Titansmiths from Hobo. We do see both runners walking on water, running on water, literally, so to speak. And this, of course, is completely out of logic because we do not have flippers. So the Titansmiths that Furaime ended up picking up, he knows that in order to actually put everything back in logic, he's going to have to find the flippers. Of course, this check that they are doing both here to visit King Zora and pay out 500 rupees to get, that is completely within logic because you can actually just get here completely, not using flippers, but you do need a glove.
Yep, in the vanilla game, he gives you the flippers.
That's right. Alright, so King Zora, unfortunately, just having a piece of heart for us. Kappa not even taking the time to pick that piece of heart up. We did see the Cane of Burna on Zora Ledge. Probably not worth either runner's time, but I think also they don't really have a great option of being able to try and fake flipper and actually being guided to it.
Yeah, if you're gonna do the splash delete or Ancilla glitch to get access to that check, usually you see runners using the bow to do that. And obviously, they're still missing that. There are a few other ways to set it up, but it might. I mean, to your point, being low on health, I wouldn't scoff at the blue cane, but yeah, unfortunately, tough to access at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are some setups you can do with the Cane of Samaria, which, of course, these runners did pick up in Blind's Hut. But actually, even looking at Kappa's resource management, so he ended up not getting, being able to pick up that full magic drop and escape. So I don't even think he had an option. Furaime, on the other hand, though, looks like he did get that full magic drop. So, but either way.
Yeah, as we've seen early King's Tomb. And here's our first Dark World map check. Looks like Turtle Rock and Pod are pendants, and we have red pendant, Swamp and Ice Palace, I believe.
Yeah, so it looks like we are going to hard require those flippers today. This is actually pretty good knowledge then for Furaime, because if he knows that the flippers are locking the myths, that might give him an idea for where the flippers could be. Alright. I guess Hype Cave is more of a traditional name that is just maybe, it's like a legacy name, right? Maybe used to be Hype, but certainly not today.
Yeah, I'm falling asleep after those checks.
Alright, so with boots on foot, Furaime decides to visit Lumberjack, does confirm, similar to Kappa, that we are not going to defeat Aghanim today, unless I guess he really wants that red rupee. But with Nits and the hammer, looks like Furaime's gonna sequence break up the mountain. Of course, we see a dark room. Well, Furaime's screen is completely black, means that this, of course, is going to be out of logic until we can find a lantern, or we find a flute to get our way up here.
Yeah, it's easy to, I don't know, let the logic get a little confusing when you, find the myths out of logic and then come up the mountain out of logic. Obviously, these runners are very experienced with it, but that's why I tend to follow the logic at my lower skill level.
Oh, no. I mean, you do whatever you feel is comfortable, right? Especially in a race setting, right? But yeah, I mean, that's, but yeah, as to your point, both runners are very experienced. Actually, I think even last scene, I think both runners ended up sequence breaking a couple things, but both of them were able to kind of keep track of the logic. I actually see Kappa here actually looking like he's making some slightly out of the way checks. Like you don't often see the pyramid to catfish kind of location play, but looks like we're gonna get a visit to another friendly fish.
Yeah, I don't hate it. With the boots, you know, these sort of checks can just haunt you throughout the race, and it always feels nice to get them out of the way.
Yeah, looks like no real payout though. Catfish having a piece of heart. And I think Pyramid was a full heart container that Kappa did pick up, I want to say.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're going to the Dark World pretty early. You know, an extra heart container at certainly this point is going to be quite welcoming, especially considering, as you said earlier, this is hard item pool. We are not going to see any mail upgrades, so this is going to be it for our defense.
So it looks like Kappa might be making the Village of Outcasts play. I would expect him to do Thieves Town at this point. The thing I'm really nervous about is Pendant Pod and Pendant Eastern. If there's something hiding over on that side of the map, it could be a while before we find it.
Yeah, of course, the dream. Oh wow, I'm surprised Prime didn't get hit by that bird bomber. I was gonna say, yeah, the dream, of course, is you never have to touch a hidden dungeon in your whole state because we only need some crystal. But yeah, as you said, if something is over there, it is gonna be a pretty good question because there are going to be crystal dungeons that I think, as you said earlier, you know, Crystal Thieves Town looks like it's going to be a pretty appealing option, especially since we have the hammer and we don't have to isolate anything.
Yeah, Kappa choosing to head over to Skullwoods, which is an interesting choice given that it is a crystal and we don't have the fire rod yet. You see a lot of people do this since it's directly out of the portal, but some people put it off knowing that you'll have to come back later with the fire rod.
Yeah, certainly different schools of thoughts for this. You know, some people do consider Skullwoods basically overworld, that you're always going to come here and check, you know, regardless. So yeah, and then some people, you know, as you said, like to, because it's a crystal, they want to, you know, kind of wait things out a bit potentially. If you can find the fire rod, then you can just take all of this in one go. Furaime, slightly different approach up to the Village of Outcasts. So Kappa, without those sequence broken bits.
There's a mirror. That is an important find.
That is, yeah. So he went from the north. Visit Skullwoods. That mirror is going to make things really, really efficient for him. Not only going through the light and dark worlds, but also like makes dungeon routing a whole heck of a lot nicer. Like for example, he's going to be able to mirror out of Thieves Town if he wants to, versus you know, versus like Death Warping.
Yeah, I was about to say I really like Furaime's route since he's going to be ending at Skullwoods in a way, which opens up more opportunities to find that fire rod. But now Kappa's going to be able to route south with the mirror and check K45, stuff like that. So it worked out.
Yeah, both runners need to be a bit careful though on health. You know, so as you said, Thieves Town and Dark World can be pretty dangerous. You know, every enemy basically does 2 hearts of damage. That bomb hitbox is surprisingly bad.
Yeah, everyone likes to throw the bombs sideways like that, and sometimes you just whiff.
Yep, sometimes. But luckily, you know, Kappa, with some of his game knowledge, does remember that there is a 50-50 bomb drop underneath one of the bushes. Certainly very convenient. There is actually another one slightly to the left of one of the bushes as well, but that one is somewhat like more out of the way. You don't really see runners oftentimes getting it unless they're kind of desperate.
Yeah, as we find, both runners are finding the flippers, so that means we're back in logic, I believe.
That's right. Of course, very convenient for Furaime is that he has already gotten the Titansmith out of Hobo. Yeah, Furaime needs to be a bit careful. Unfortunately, you know, fire snakes, you can't dash through them, and all of these Zygzags end up doing 2 hearts of damage. Okay, so I think the front had a small key, flippers, a compass, and the big chest. So we are looking for like 3 more items, right? In the back. Kind of a stingy front.
Yeah. Never mind too much when it's a crystal. You're more than likely clearing this dungeon out in its entirety every time anyway. It's sort of a good opportunity for you to just sort of relax for a minute.
Right.
think about your next steps, that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
whether there's one item up front or a couple in a crystal, it doesn't matter too much.
There's some pretty scary points in this dungeon,
Yeah,
like
this
this
one.
hallway. Yeah, so so unfortunately, it looks like both runners ended up not getting themselves quite lined up in order to be able to dash through the enemies. But of course, enemies also kind of have to cooperate with you in order to not completely be in your way. Of course, if you're not able to do that, that hallway can get pretty dangerous pretty quickly. Both runners did end up recovering quite nicely. Ended up taking no damage, at least from the hallway, but Furaime needs to be very careful here so he doesn't die.
Yeah, these grasshoppers are some of the scariest enemies in the game in a weird way.
Yeah, so at least the good news for Furaime is that he ended up bombing open the attic floor before anything really bad happened to him. One of the worst feelings, of course, is you die in the attic before you see the bomb floor, which means you have to basically come back and re-bomb it, which is like another, I don't know, like minute or so of time loss.
Something I've definitely forgotten to do here and there. Yeah.
So we did see Kappa ended up picking up some safety hearts. Furaime, unsurprisingly, is going to do the exact same thing.
Oh, there's a fire rod.
It's a pretty important find. Alright, so, as you were saying, this is actually going to be pretty interesting because, Kappa decided to go to Skullwoods early, found the mirror. I think that was the only item out of the 2 in Skullwoods that he found. So, but Furaime, when he goes up there, because he came south to north, he's going to be able to full clear Skullwoods.
Yeah, you often see runners starting, when they have the fire rod, starting from Mothula and working their way back. So Furaime will most likely clear out the whole dungeon, but there is going to save a bit of time walking back to it, I suppose.
Ding, ding, ding. So Kappa is on the scripted flight for Blind, meaning if you do the same thing every time, Blind will do the same thing every time. Looks like actually a little off script, but luckily we picked up that fire shield from before. That's where you hear all the dings, basically, taking no fire damage from the fireballs. Furaime also trying to stay on script a bit, but we do have that nice safety. He just has to make sure he doesn't get hit by Blind's head or body or laser, because those do 2 hearts.
Yeah, well done by Furaime there. It's easy to get real nervous when you are down to just a few hearts in that fight and you're off script.
Yeah. Alright, actually, it looks like Kappa is going to opt to not continue further south. And with that mirror in hand, looks like he is going to double up here and check his 2 and Graveyard Ledge. It's actually pretty good, efficient routing then. And definitely making sure that he doesn't isolate Graveyard Ledge.
Yeah, I like these checks. I think it's a decent assumption to think like, hey, I might be the only runner here who found the mirror, so following those mirror checks could potentially put you at an advantage.
Yeah, Kappa also doing some nice tech, making sure he bonks over, so he bonks back into his mirror portal, so he doesn't actually take a mirror bonk when he tries to go back into the Dark World. Furaime, he is opting to do the Smith Chain, definitely being thorough here. Might be a bit chagrined later to find out that the mirror was actually in the front of Skullwood, so he didn't actually have to do this, but, it's not like we know this ahead of time, right?
Yeah, that's rough, but hey, thankfully we have the boots this seed, right?
That's right, yes. Game is totally playable with these boots.
Something I'm a little curious about now that we have the flippers and the mirror and the hammer, is whether someone's going to make the early hookshot less swamp play.
There have been so many scenes this tournament where people have had to dive swap for like a vanilla hookshot or like an item that leads to a hookshot, and it's just
yeah, a medallion that opens up Meyer for the hookshot, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully this is going to be a bit friendlier than the last seed, including not forcing these runners to having to do anything silly. So, although speaking of which, we did get a sneak peek on Bumper Ledge. We don't have the cape, but we did see a book. That is actually a very interesting item on Bumper Ledge. Really kind of makes you wonder what's going to be locked behind that book, but of course we have to end up finding the cape first. Maybe we'll never have to see the book. That would be quite interesting. That'd be quite nice, right? That means we don't have to worry about like the tablet checks, and also
yeah, but Desert is a crystal, so if we don't need that book, we will. Well, we know we will find the flute, since Meyer is also a crystal. So yes, I would agree. Hopefully, we never need that book.
All right, Kappa. First of our stream runners back into Mothula. Fortunately, he had an amazingly good fight here for Mothula. Actually quite a bit worried about those sword beams, kind of overriding 10% damage, but just with a couple slashes, he manages to take Moth down.
Yeah, the tempered sword itself just cuts through Moth, no problem, so well done getting up close, avoiding those beams on Kappa's part.
Yeah, and we see actually Furaime purposely taking damage here on one of the spikes, so he loses his sword beams. Looks like actually pretty cool dash poke initially, so if done correctly, that will actually count as 2 hits, and then just 2 more slashes, and then Furaime also takes the Moth down just as fast.
Okay, so there's our second dungeon item, just a heart.
I'm trying to remember the mirror. Oh, it was in the front of Skull Woods. Okay, so yeah, so what Furaime's going to do, in this case, as you said, we're going to do Skull Woods back to front. So he's going to pick up, his heart container here. He will do the vanilla big key chest, but of course we saw also on Kappa's side with the King of Samaria that room becomes significantly easier than if you have to kind of push and pull that statue near all those Gibdos. But then he's going to be able to find the mirror relatively quickly after that.
Yeah, well, Kappa also heading up the mountain in the dark here.
Kappa has significantly more options open to him here on Death Mountain, especially with that mirror and that hammer. He's going to be able to get up to Tower of Hera, and then if he wants to clear the Crystal Dungeon, that's also great. But then he's also going to be able to make his way up to Death Mountain.
Yeah, without those Titan's myths, he won't be able to check the Dark World up on the mountain, unfortunately, but there is still a lot of checks up here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as that's definitely a really good point that you bring up, because when Furaime goes back the second time, after he gets out of Skull Woods, he is going to be able to combine both Light and Dark World Death Mountain, with that mirror and the Titan's Fist that he has.
Be curious to see how Kappa handles Hera here. There's the possibility of the key being in the basement, the big key being in the basement, and we haven't found our hook shot yet. So I would guess that's why Kappa is heading over to East Death Mountain first, with the hopes that maybe you find the hook shot and speed up Hera. Let's see. That was a medallion on the floating island. I didn't catch which one.
It looked like Quake. Yeah, so of course, as entry points, we definitely know that we need at least 1 medallion, because we don't actually, because Mr. Myers a crystal. And of course, if there are if something of progression is inside Turtle Rock, we might need another medallion for that. And I think Bombos as a fire source is not necessary now because we ended up finding the fire rod earlier.
Yeah, it could still be helpful on Ice Palace if we don't find half magic for the boss fight, but yes, with the fire rod it is obsolete.
Alright, looks like Furaime actually going to be actually taking a little bit different strategy. Going to do his in logic, in logic overworld checks, as opposed to Kappa, who's actually going to explore the rest of Paradox Cave.
Oh, there's our flute, which means the lamp needs to be hanging out somewhere off of the mountain, and the hookshot.
And the hookshot. Wow, those are some really nice finds. Yeah, and this is actually a good point, you know, for terms of logic. So we know that we need the flute or the lamp in order to get up to Death Mountain, and the fact that we found the flute up here means that the lamp can't be up here. You know, and maybe, as you said, maybe that lamp is just kind of sitting in like Pendant Eastern or, you know, Pendant Pod or something, and it just puts everything, all this in logic. So if, you know, of course these runners are very adept at doing dark roads, maybe, you know, they would just, maybe that's like the only thing they need out of those Pendant dungeons, and then, you know, these guys will never have to touch those dungeons for the seed.
Yeah, definitely. So we've had eyes on all 3 of our medallions now that Furaime has found Ether and K45.
Oh yeah, no, that's definitely a good point, because, you know, so we know that we have the hookshot and the mirror. So alright, so speaking of logic, Furaime found our logical connection up to Death Mountain, finding the lamp and purple chest.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if Kappa just never picks that up, but we will see.
Yeah. Furaime, looking like we are going to make actually some pretty divergent paths going into Ice Palace.
Yeah, prioritizing Ice Palace once you have Cane of Samaria, I think is a strong play. It's about as fast to complete outside of Go mode as it is in Go mode, aside from maybe Ice Tea Room. So it's a good thing to prioritize.
Yeah. So Kappa having a very questionable first slash against Moldorm. Wow.
There's our bow.
There's our bow. Kappa actually might, with that bow, he might actually be in Go mode soon. So he's gonna at some point activate his flute, and then we need to kind of flute over to what Misery Mire is. But because we know where all the medallions are, I think, is this all we're gonna need for both our runners?
Well, I think we need an ice rod, yeah?
So Turtle Rock is a pendant, so we don't necessarily need
mind.
that yet, potentially.
No, you're right.
Kappa checking Spike Cave. This. Oh no! Oh no! Oh, he has a fairy. Okay. I was like, did he not switch over to something soon? Okay. Alright, Spike Cave certainly actually was very, very beneficial to Kappa in his first seed, race against Furaime, because he found the hookshot here. Not quite, you know, as fortunate, but it's definitely a location that's burned both runners before.
Yeah, much in the way that no boots has been a theme throughout this tournament. I feel like progression in Spike Cave has been pretty consistent as well.
That's true. So it looks like Kappa's actually going to take a chance and hope that Meyer is not. Oh no, he doesn't have the mitts, so he actually can't get that quick medallion off of Floating Islands. I totally forgot. Yes, Kappa still needs the Titan's Fist that he hasn't gotten from Hobo. I had totally forgotten about this. So no, he is not in go mode, but he is definitely going to try and get eyes on Misery Mars so he can go in. Meanwhile, Prime here, dropping into Cold Stare. Pretty good fight. Looks like he did use bombos, actually to his advantage. As you said earlier, we can use bombos to break Cold Stare shell, and then being able to, save a couple of fire rod shots with that magic meter. It looks like he ended up not really needing it all that much, because Prime kept most of the pus in the corner pretty well. Especially can be a quite dangerous fight on 9 hearts.
Yeah, I made it look easy though. Yeah, if you can get Cold Stare in the corner like that with Tempered Sword, much like Mothula, it's much easier than Master Sword. Now oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just okay. So I was gonna say, like, I was looking with the hook shot in hand afterwards. This is another clearable crystal dungeon for Kappa.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing though is, there's a left side swamp where Kappa thinks the mitts could be potentially.
Yeah. So I mean, Hobo is. This is actually a good question for when he's gonna kind of go back and check Hobo, because on the last thing he did, he was actually very efficient and managed to combine the Hobo check with the mirror on his way up to the pyramid. We've already done a lot of our flipper checks early, because Musica's broke out into the water walk, and Kappa's already gone up to the pyramid this time around. So Hobo's kind of isolated. He might be able to do it on his way over to like Pod Eastern, but as we've seen, they are both pendants, so this actually might be kind of a rough location for Kappa.
Yeah, these isolated checks that feel like one-offs, you can talk yourself into just doing it immediately and getting it out of the way, or you can put it off till last. We'll just have to see.
Yeah, and we actually do see, quite the difference of strategy. So we did see Kappa's for Tower of Hera, because Kappa decided to postpone Tower of Hera just because if in this case the big key is in its vanilla location, which is in the basement, and we find a hookshot later, then we can just Hera pot up. Furaime has chosen to just kind of dive this crystal instead, and as a result, we are waiting in the basement for it.
Yeah, I'm sure Furaime will be a little frustrated to see it right after the dungeon here, but on the other hand, he's not going to have to walk back and re-enter the dungeon, so...
Yeah, really nice beetles room, actually, on Furaime's side. It's very NMG-esque to be able to slash that first beetle and then kind of use the recoil in order to hit the switch alongside. Obviously you don't need it as much because you have Temper Sword, but still, it's pretty cool to see.
Oh, it's definitely the coolest looking strat for that room. Kappa already almost at the back of Swamp here. Furaime does the scariest bomb jump in the game.
Yes. Alright, so actually, waiting in the basement is going to give Prime some really good peace of mind, because we did see him pull out, well, it is an item, so a great item, but it is one of the items in Tower of Hera. Kappa, I guess, because he did Hera Pot, looks like he probably just left it behind. I'm not sure how great it's going to feel isolating one item there, but, at least we know that it's
Yeah, these are the risks you take when you're up 1-0 in a series, and you can afford to potentially leave something there. That was a perfect boss fights side by side.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, that last fight almost knocked Furaime off the platform, but manages to take Bullhorn down. Really nice fight on Kappa's side for Argus as well. Furaime picks up his bow. So I'm assuming with that he's going to keep going and once he finds his flute and his hookshot, I think he will actually be in go mode, because he's going to be able to see Quake on Floating Island. I don't think he needs anything else at this point.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. I believe you're correct.
Yeah, this has been like a those sequence broken mids from Hobo. I mean, has definitely paid out like huge dividends for Furaime. So he did end up taking an early trip up the mountain, kind of scope out what Spectacle Rock was. But after that, after finding the mids, he has just done like everything like in one trip.
Yeah, and that first mountain trip was pretty quick too. Like most things are with the boots, but especially the mountain, since you can use the spin speed glitch to get up the left side real fast. It was not too much of an investment on Furaim's part.
And of course, just with somewhat of an unfortunate sequence of ordering. I mean, not really super unfortunate, but like we know that everything is in Paradox Cave. But of course, Furaime is being very diligent and thorough and making sure that he gets all of his Dark Wall checks. I mean, this is where he's starting, right? So it makes a lot of sense. But it's just that we know like that these checks aren't really going to yield him much.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, half magic is
that's true.
very
Yeah,
helpful though in this mode.
Yeah, basically with half magic, he's not gonna have to worry about he can just spam that fire rod to his heart's content. It's gonna be really convenient and nice, especially going up the Godland.
Yeah, and something to pay attention to also is if Kappa doesn't find that lamp and goes up the mountain in go mode, Kappa might miss half magic and not have half magic and only the fire rod for the Ganon fight. So hopefully finds him.
No, that's a good point. I guess I don't quite remember if Kappa can. I'm gonna assume that he can do Torch Glitch with the fire rod. But even if he can't, I think they have like 3 bottles at this point or something. Actually, you can just go and buy a green bottle of magic.
Oh, this is a good sign for Kappa. Nope.
Alright, there is our hook shot for Furaime. He's going to get his flute very, very soon. As soon as he opens that chest. Alright, so I think he realized it's probably, so he probably remembers that, hey, there is one more medallion up here, let me go get it right now. Alright, this is gonna be on our way to Pod Eastern, but of course on the way we are gonna get our mitts. So I'm glad that Kappa didn't end up isolating this because it would have been a pretty hard location to come back to.
Yeah, the crazy thing about Randomizer is races can go from being very, very close to not even remotely close based on single decisions like Kappa just made.
Mm-hmm. So I think actually with this activated flutes, okay, so Kappa's probably going to make a pit stop into the potion shop just to make sure for he has, so nothing bad can possibly happen in Ganon's tower and Ganon himself. But all right, so this is going to be Mode of Truth. This is a super close race, by the way. Oh, actually, did he? Oh, maybe he's how many dungeons is he behind? Because I was gonna say, I thought he only just needed.
Yeah, Kappa did Swamp and Furaime did Ice Palace.
Okay.
So, yeah, Go mode Swamp is very, very fast. And I think, like I said earlier, Ice Palace, you don't save a ton of time doing it in Go mode. You save a little bit.
Yeah, and this is also going to be interesting because if Kappa has to go, so I guess it's going to depend if what medallion the Mire entry is, because if it is Quake, then that's actually like another minute that Kappa has to spend going back up the mountain and then coming back down.
Yeah, did Furaime grab it? I'm not seeing it on the...
Yes, Furaime did grab it. All right, let's see. So of course Furaime is in go mode. He definitely realizes it. We saw that he did nothing in Hookshot Cave, otherwise than to just go straight to the back. All right, Furaime taking time to make sure that nothing can hit him, so he can keep his beams for Mire too. Looks like it is going to be longbows today for Mire, so Quake actually is not needed. Really, of course, important insurance for Furaime because he was also just right there. but looks like at least Kappa does not need to spend the extra minute in order to climb the mountain again. Of course, you know, talking about some well-executed rooms, this is also going to be another one that a lot of runners have high execution to be able to do really clean, fast Mire 2. Beams are almost a necessity in order to keep that.
Yeah, definitely one of the more fun rooms to watch scope runners do, for sure.
Yeah, but at this point, both runners are going to make basically they're in go mode, and at this point, I think it's just going to be pure execution at this, you know, beyond this point. We know that, so as you said, Furaime here are going to finish at Mire, looking for that big key, but you know, Furaime has an ice palace over Kappa, and Kappa has a swamp over Furaime.
Yep. It's a very nice big key location for Goma and Mire. Won't be an advantage for either runner. They'll both get it earlier, but definitely save some time on an already very, very fast seed.
Yeah, that is definitely for sure. So not only did we not have to enter any pendant dungeons whatsoever, you know, some of the pendant dungeons we didn't have to enter, you know, was Pod and Total Rock.
Another nice cold stair fight. But yeah, I thought for sure someone would get baited into the Pendant Pod, Pendant Eastern, just fun bag over there. It's very convenient that it worked out like this.
Furaime taking advantage of the spooky action glitch in order to kind of save himself a couple of room transitions, using the splash elation of the splash area effect of the fire rod in order to, you know, hit the switches, you know, from very well. If they think that basically the switches are close, but really just like would be hit real far.
Yeah, if you ever want to sound smart to your friends who don't play this game, explain the spooky action glitch to them. It is it's so complicated and silly.
Furaime did a really, really nice job, basically very NMG-esque in order to clean up Vitreous. So what he ended up, I assume this case doing is, you know, so we definitely want to see all the eyeballs taken down, you know, with Source Pits because they do the most damage. But we don't have a lot of health in this case. Every eyeball of Vitreous does 4 hearts of damage on Green Mill, but the slime surrounding it only does 1 heart. So what we saw Furaime did is he damaged himself to take the damage from the slime, which is 1 heart, and then using the iframes to its advantage in order to do the Source Pits.
Yeah, that's the classic no major glitches vanilla strategy for Vitreous there.
Yeah, I mean, but you know, like Furaime makes it look super easy. That
no way, it is not.
Yeah. No, that fight is super dangerous. And of course, the convenient part, you know, of not even coming over here to Desert because we didn't even find the cape, right? So we couldn't even get into Desert earlier. This is also going to be really nice for both runners because they can just combine Mire and Desert once. Very convenient big key as well. Don't even have to, you know, go search, you know, Desert back and forth.
Yeah, these dungeons are just flying by at this point.
Yeah, I mean, so certainly in comparison to their first game, I mean, where it was just, you know, they were walking around for like 45, 50 minutes, you know, with the boots being in Pendant Thieves down. Yeah, the fact that they got their boots in under 10 minutes, Tempered Sword, the fact that they're basically just go-moding dungeons at this point, you know, certainly is quite the contrast. Do see a difference. I completely forgotten that Kappa doesn't have the lamp. Furaime certainly had a much easier time because, you know, he could see in this room. Not that Kappa, you know, is going to have too much of an issue. I'm sure he's done this before, you know, at least once in his life. But of course, you know, just because you can't see definitely means that you're probably going to spend a little bit more time in these rooms.
Yeah, Mire's definitely, in my opinion, it's the toughest of the dark rooms to do. you toss that Samaria block from the doorway and try to get it to land on a switch, and it's a little complicated. I say as another boss just vanishes off the screen.
Yeah. So not quite the NMG approach this time around for Furaime. You know, with that Path Magic Fire Rod, it's probably going to be slightly faster. You know, as opposed to like the using the bow and arrow.
Oh god, the bow and arrow.
Yeah, so not, I think many people do spooky action in the dark, you know, so of course, as you said, it's very difficult to really see where you're supposed to be hitting, but of course, you know, Kappa makes good progress just as well. He is, oh, I didn't realize how kind of, he's only on 4.5 hearts. He can take one hit from Vitreous and still be okay, you know, MVP for that half a heart, but looks like he's actually going to be a bit more cautious with Vitreous.
Yeah, this is one of the worst bosses to take a death on. So
oh my gosh!
I do not blame Kappa.
Oh my gosh!
He does have a blue potion, I believe.
Yeah, he did stock up on potions. Oh my gosh, dude! Like, I don't know why he doesn't want to use one. Because I don't think he has a fairy left. And oh my gosh. Okay, everything's fine. It's just 8 more arrows to the Vitreous' big eyeball. We saw nothing dangerous happen in this fight whatsoever on Kappa's side.
Man, that was a tense moment in this race. Like truly, the walk back to Vitreous there is pretty time consuming. So that, I mean, that could have decided the race, given how close it is potentially. Yes. So I'm really happy to see Kappa pull it out.
That is. He has nerves of steel.
Yeah, all in all, between Kappa having to spend a little bit more time going through those dark rooms in the dark and take it slow with Vitreous, it's good for Furaime. More blink and you miss it, Go Mode Dungeon's coming up.
That's right, yeah. You know, Furaime's already kind of made his, like more like tedious way into Swamp Palace. Of course, making through his water rooms. But as you said, Go Mode Swamp Palace is super fast. He's already on his way in the back. He is probably going to do, yeah, it looks like Diver Down, just like Kappa did. Sneaks right on by through the rail. Look at that, doesn't even, you know, check the chests, because we know that, you know, there's nothing of value that Furaime can end up picking up. He might, you know, maybe like another heart container, you know, would be nice for him, but at this point, I really don't see him, you know, stopping for anything.
Yeah, you max out at 14 in hard mode, so that's, especially for Furaime, who already has half magic, that's really the only thing might be hoping to pick up. It's a couple hearts.
Some pretty friendly water tactile RNG there in the in the rubric for Argus. We just saw Vitreous. Furaime gonna take his attempt at the 0 cycle. Is he gonna get it? Not quite. Looks like still pretty close.
Either way, mechanically, that's not the easiest thing to do. To hold your sword out and also shoot your hook shot, so really well done.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a very high level of execution in order to do 0 cycle. You do need a little bit of cooperation from Argus, in that, you know, if he just like rushes at you, you don't really have much time to kind of pull off all of the eyeballs, but still, you know, pretty good fight from Furaime's side, and, you know, very fast-paced too, 2 fire rod shots and a sword spin. Wait, are we going up the mountain on front? Wait, what?
We're at 57 minutes, and this is happening.
Yeah, that almost caught me off guard. So same thing on Kappa's side. We are going up the mountain. Man, that Furaime really needed that Vitreous fight in order to kind of even things up. Oh, this Waffle House screen though.
So I see some numbers being tossed in the chat.
Yeah, what do you think those numbers mean?
Well, it's my understanding that there are 22 possible locations that the Ganon's Tower big key can be in Ganon's Tower. So we like to play a little game in which folks toss numbers in the chat, and we're going to be counting where the big key is. Based on whoever gets to GT first. It looks like it's probably going to be Furaime, but we'll see.
It's checking a free chest along the way. I think you are correct in that Furaime's going to be on his way to GT first. Did Kappa? Yeah. There's not going to be any more, I guess, like, environment hazards. That's going to be stopping them along the way.
Yeah. Fortunately, Kappa, I think just missed that half magic, if I remember correctly where it was.
That's right. Actually, it was the other chest of Super Buddy Cave. Yeah. Pretty unfortunate. Wow. All right. So, yeah, GT riding, GT big key riding is definitely going to be a thing. So, starting with Furaime, because he's the first one entered, we are going right side. I think Kappa does this as well. Maybe. Okay. Alright, so key number 1, chest number 1, is a small key, which means that we are going to be able to advance onto the right side.
Yeah, I've been seeing people go left and left more and more, so it's a bit of a surprise to see both go right here, but worked out with the small key drop.
This is an execution battle at its finest.
Yeah, this is why you watch these.
Ah, no! Give no! Alright, being quite a bit of a bully to Furaime. Looks like Kappa, unfortunately, is also not getting great luck. He is, well, pretty low on magic. Okay, that was pretty fast. Alright, so that was chest number 7? 6?
6?
6?
6? Sure, someone in chat will confirm.
I think it was 6. Yeah, because we did the 2 chest and hope room, and then we did the last 4 in this room. Yes, of course, both runners remembering to make sure they pick up a small key before they do the ascent. It is not guaranteed that another small key is going to be up there, up here, in order for them to unlock that last door before Moldorm. Nice shot, Furaime! I ended up kind of getting caught on the second mimic, but managed to kind of snipe it from afar.
Amazing.
Holy cow, this is so close! They're like on the same room. Alright. Furaime does make it past the spikes though, with a pretty nice chance, as is Kappa. Cannonball Z. Oh, Furaime! Wow, okay. Does get hit, surprisingly does not get knocked off. He's pretty getting close. Kappa does walk it through. Looks like he's
Kappa. Yeah, unfortunately, going into the safety room here makes complete sense given the lack of half magic and that they're out, but of course there's no way Kappa can know the state of this race right now, so...
Oh yeah, no, that's actually a really good point. We do need some amount of magic, or we would like some amount of magic in order for our lane mode 2. Furaime, though, making super fast work of the gauntlet. It's getting beat up a little bit, nothing, but he has like, I think 2 blue potions at this point, so we should be fine. Oh, those short hops. Land mode, cooperate with us.
Nice. Yeah, no powder, unfortunately, for a free health refill up at the top, but yeah, I'm sure both of these runners will be just fine.
Yeah. Alright, this is arguably the worst room in the gauntlet, as Kappa is demonstrating that sometimes the enemies don't have to always cooperate with you, and of course, you know, there's slides, like sliding on ice.
Yeah, but back to the magic conversation, like, I think the meta way to go through that room is with the fire rod and using the fire rod splash, and you just have to imagine Kappa's thinking about magic at this point.
Yeah, oh, sorry. I got slightly distracted. But yeah, actually, so if you actually look at some of the more NMG runners, it's kind of split between some runners like to shoot an arrow down to try to hit the alphas, and some people like to do a fire shot, a fire rod shot.
Yeah. So Furaime on Molorn 2 here has built up a bit of a lead, thanks to being able to use magic on our worm friends, and also the safety room. Another boss just vanished.
Hey! Furaime opening up a chest that I didn't actually expect him to open, but he finds the powder, which I guess would have been useful like 2 weeks ago maybe for him.
It's very funny.
Alright, Aghanim 2. So, of course, another pretty high source of RNG. But of course, you know, because this is randomizer, both runners are going to get the same pattern for Aghanim 2. So, it is going to be see how many, I guess, like how both runners ended up kind of dealing with these patterns. Furaime gets a really nice 2-2-2 though.
Yeah, that's really the best, I don't know, the best most people can hope for, I think. Certainly with the blue ball shot there. Yeah, that's what you want to see.
Yeah, Kappa is making his way over to Aghanim 2. While Furaime pretty much drops down at cannon. So with Temper Sword, half magic, I think 2 blue bottles of hopefully Furaime will not have any trouble here. He does have to be a bit careful. He's on 5.5 hearts, so Ganon does 8 hearts of damage. This is really close positioning. So Furaime can't touch Ganon whatsoever. The fire bats end up doing 4 hearts of damage, so he has a little bit of buffer before he starts getting some heart beats of encouragement. Looks like he is managing to get through phases 1 and 2 pretty well.
Yeah, but it would just have to be a misstep off the ledge, I think, at this point. Sometimes you get hit in the last phase, but most people say the first 2 are the real scary ones. Certainly number 2.
Yeah, and of course, like they are past this Furaime is past one of the more dangerous phases. So the fire bats now still can't hit Ganon or touch Ganon because it still does 8 hearts, but he's not going to be in dire straits of health. So he probably the only dangerous part at this point is if he doesn't kind of like line up the fire bats in the right position. He could end up getting knocked off the platform, and at this stage, if you have to restart your Ganon fight, like that is. It basically is just going to flip the race.
Yeah, absolutely.
I managed to just get torch clutch with the lamp. So if you light the left torch before the right one goes out, the right one will never go out. Furaime, please don't scare us. So he's managed to get some nice triples, spins in. But with that, Furaime, 12 silverless sword spins in. Holding up the sword, waiting for his fanfare, going to cross this bridge and be the first place winner of our race today, tying up the series 1-1. Get your GG chat and chat out for Furaime. Let's see if we can get an official time. 1 hour, 6 minutes, 52 seconds.
Yeah, it definitely has to be one of the faster times in the group phase here.
Yeah, I'll say. Looks like Kappa is finishing up his Ganon fight. Unfortunately, does not get torch glitch. So he's going to have to probably light these torches back and forth. So practically speaking, you don't have enough time in order to get triple spins, but you do have time to get doubles. Kappa does have, I believe, at least 1 blue potion that he could use.
Well, thankfully, because he didn't spend it on the Vitreous, but...
Oh, that's right! Yeah, because he never went back to the potion shop. Yeah, and as a kind of also a consequence of Kappa not getting another pretty good quality of life item, not to mention a soft, oh, sorry, a logically required item, which is the lamp. He doesn't have a fire source ready to spend less magic on. But with that, Kappa also has put in his 12 soloist spins, and he is just going to wait for this fanfare and then cross his own bridge in order to beat the seed, coming in second place with an official time of 1 hour, 8 minutes, and 23 seconds. GG's, Kappa. What a race! What do you think? Looks like we are joined by Kappa. GG's on your finish.
GG's. Thanks, Torch Clutch.
It was yeah, so I guess so thoughts about the seed?
Check too much.
Check too much, is that what you said?
Yeah. Back for the Swamp Big chest, because it was at the end of Hookshot. There might be my mitts in there. My lamp is somewhere in the overworld. I haven't gone to.
Yeah, I believe in game 1, if I remember correctly, you also put off the hobo for quite a bit of time, which worked out then, I believe.
Well, yeah, because there was nothing there. Turns out it works less well if there's something there, but I had the flippers, I had the mirror, so there was obviously a route I was going to take to the hobo at some point.
Yeah, there was a moment where you were both sort of careening towards the end game there, and we were all rooting for you to go to the hobo, because that's what kept this race close. As you can see with the times, it was really fun to watch for the last few minutes as you race through GT. So how did you feel about those early boots and hammer relative to game 1?
Oh, like, it's the opposite of game 1, which I won, so problem. Furaime's really good. Probably used the boots better than I came.
I at least you got to use boost though, the seed, pretty much.
Yeah. Lets me miss some more spin speeds. That was great.
Happens to the best of us. So when you found the Titansmiths, how were you feeling? That's I know when I find progression in a place that you have access to pretty early, I get pretty nervous. Like, what was your thoughts as you found your go mode?
One, let's figure out how we're not gonna die, and two, hope that ether I just picked up in K45 is required. You might miss that. Of course it wasn't. So it's like get my blue pot when I inevitably missed Torch Glitch, run to the end game, and probably lost the race in the disaster mire. I
Yeah,
walked the Wiz rope twice.
We were holding our breath during that vitreous fight, but as it turns out, yeah, you know better than we do. You needed that potion for the Ganon fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, that vitreous fight had us on the edge of our seats. Probably also yours as well.
Yeah, well, I didn't die, but it took too long, and that's about that.
Yeah, I guess, like, did you just not want to go back to the potion shop after Mire?
I mean, no, not really. Facing Furaime, kinda gotta take a few little chances there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like, yeah, as you guys were basically just like, I think chat said something like 8 seconds on your way into GT. So super close race for sure. Yeah, and I think actually, oh yeah, I'm not sure if you kind of I guess like saw the tail end of the seed. So two things that Furaime ended up picking up that you didn't have was the lamp, which was in purple chest. So I think you maybe had a little bit took longer in Meyer basement, and then the other one actually was half magic, and it actually was in the other chest in Super Bunny Cave. So I think when you stop by Super Bunny Cave, you open up the top one and find your piece of heart, and then it just turns out to be half magic is in the other one.
I was like, of course. Turns out 2 tiles is way too long for me.
Yeah, unfortunately, it did end up making a bit of a difference. I think that's why you had to dip into the safety room in GT. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I have no magic left to do any torches with, so it's pretty much a plan to use all my magic and take that room anyway.
Yeah, I think also you didn't really want to spend much magic in G5 as well, like for the last room of the gauntlet. So you're kind of like slipping and sliding around and kind of got beat up a bit.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like we're like critiquing the run here, but man,
108
is still, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, especially compared to like yesterday's seed, or was it 2 days seed ago or something? Like when your finish times were like hour 40 or something like that. That's definitely quite the difference.
Yep. A whole lot of nice stuff that I didn't have and just made me a little slower.
So with that, thoughts about game 3?
Gonna try for tomorrow, same time. Try for not the same result as today. Well, who knows?
Certainly hoping that you guys at least have a fun seed and that you'll have boots early.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, we were talking before we started that we would love to see early boots here, so I think we willed it into existence, and by saying that again, you will see it. Do you have any, so going into an elimination game, or at least a game that you know, if you lose, you get bumped down in the bracket, is that going to change your routing or sort of approach to tomorrow, or is that you're just gonna play it out?
Yeah, probably not. Just do whatever works.
Yeah, at least in the first 2 games, from observation, is that it seems like your route's pretty aggressive, or at least you tend to just kind of check like a lot of like higher density locations, whereas Furaime, I think, tends to be a bit more thorough, like in the area. Like, you know, in this case, or at least in both games, he ended up checking Hobo kind of earlier than you, or at least he did it without the rest of the flipper checks. You know, one time it definitely paid out better than the other. So I guess we're gonna have to see. Certainly, a very exciting set of games though to watch, and very from very talented runners.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. Along with chat, definitely happy we're getting a game 3 of more super quality Zelda. And we'll see who moves on to face the winner of Aussie and Scrub Casual, who I believe are kicking off their series later tonight. I'm not sure there's a restream for it, but something to pay attention to as well in this pretty loaded group, like most of the group.
Yeah. This group is I would definitely say on the higher level of difficulty in order to get through. So. And yeah, I think just checking the schedule, it looks like Aussie and Scrub Casual are going to kick off at 8:40 tonight, but it does not look like there's going to be a restream. But of course, there's always going to be multi-stream if you want to catch the action live. There are like tons of races going on. Let's see if looking at the restream ones. SpeedGaming 2 right now has Killer App versus Vortex. SpeedGaming 5 at 8:40 has A0 versus Verts. 9:10 ALTTPR Randomizer has G-Misha versus Rev. And then tonight we have Aussie versus Orange versus Asder at SpeedGaming at 11:10, and Sleeve versus Wordjig and SpeedGaming 2. And Jay Coper versus Julo in their game 2 and speaking 3. So quite the night left of Rando. So
yeah, definitely just give a follow to SpeedGaming 1 through 6. It's so cool right now to be able to load up Twitch and look at my following tab and just see all of this competitive rando being played with commentary. It's a great time to have a lot of free time.
yeah. Yeah, and of course, Kappa, we will be on the lookout for game 3 between you and Furaime.
Yep.
Any final thoughts before we kind of wrap things up?
No, not really. Probably just be saying something. Something being the hobo, I guess, in this instance.
Yeah, certainly. Best of luck to you and Furaime. I'm sure game 3 will be just as exciting, actually. And of course, thank you so much for coming for the interview, chatting with us, and of course putting on such a great race. You and Furaime.
Yep.
Yep, and thank you, Clearmouse, for the comms. Thank you, B-Links, I believe, on the tracker, which is also the gears that keep the wheels moving. Is that the analogy? It's very important.
Oh yeah, no. Without B-Links, like there's no way we would have been able to keep track of basically what all the items everyone has. Very difficult job, actually. Much harder than it actually appears to be. So thank you so much. And yeah, of course, thank you to all the speaking channels in order to host us and tournament admins for organizing this thing. Yeah, until then, have a great night, and definitely see you on the next Rando race starting probably very soon. Have a good night.
Night.